Under Hansi Flick, Barcelona isn't reloading, they are redesigning the rules. With Marcus Rashford joining forces with 18-year-old sensation Lamine Yamal, their front line becomes a machine of destruction and artistry. Every moment has a purpose, every space is weaponized. Get ready as we reveal Hansi Flick's tactical secrets that made them lethal, and the strategy that could redefine European football in the coming season. When the fierce Barcelona of the last season peaked, every top team in Europe was hesitating to face them. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, Dortmund, and who else? They destroyed everyone. However, as the season progressed, teams identified a flaw. In the first half, Rafinha was the beast on the front line, a captain who controlled the team when no leader was available. But when the season unfolded and Balde got injured, Rafinha had to move to the left flank instead of playing in the central spaces. This disturbed his game, and it also affected the team's fluidity in the final stages of the season. How could a perfectionist like Hansi Flick let that go? In this transfer window, they had all the drama with Nico Williams just because of that. In that situation comes the star player of Manchester, who understands that Barcelona is too big a club to let go of such an opportunity to become a bigger and better player with the spotlight of the whole world. He didn't require any sureties like Nico, no build-up, just a straightaway yes, and a photo of him in Blaugrana blue. Rashford, at 27, isn't a declining winger. He's a forward reborn, waiting for the right ecosystem to ignite his prime again. Hansi Flick doesn't care about his current form in England. He knows the player of the 2022-23 season who presses like a possessed demon. He's also devastating in transitions, lethal under pressure, and increasingly intelligent off the ball. In the 1,426 minutes that he played for United in the 24-25 season, Rashford had 9 goal involvements and 0.57 contributions per 90 minutes. But this signing is not about numbers, it's about movement architecture. Rashford is a creative winger who designs runs. He created 4 big chances in a single game from open play this season, which forced the world to pay attention. The typical movement of Rashford makes centre-backs turn and full-backs inside. This is precisely the space Yamal loves to enter. Wide, then sudden diagonal incisions. That's what Flick wants. Total chaos in the final third with coordinates. Rashford's presence would allow the rest of the front line to breathe, to drift, and to invert without fear. When Yamal would draw the defense, Rashford, on the other end, would already be reading the reactions 3 moves ahead. Because these are the type of movements he loves to make. However, despite the potential, this kind of chemistry is rare in football. Let's analyze the attributes of Rashford and Lamine. Hansi Flick's football is very simple, and at the same time, it contains many layers. The fundamental layer of his philosophy is a direct approach to creating as many chances of scoring as possible. For this, pacey wingers are very important in modern football. They stretch the field on one hand, and on the other hand, carry the ball into the penalty area of the opposite team. When fullbacks complement these wingers with inverted runs, that's the overload of 5 to 6 players in the final third. And that's how they are very efficient at breaking low and dead blocks of stubborn teams. They attack from everywhere. Lamine and Rashford, with their attributes, give the German boss what he demands. They both have pace and love to make progressive carries. It is true that Rashford has recently been called the biggest disappointment in English football. Yes, we are talking about a player who was once compared with Mbappe and Haaland, but couldn't live up to the hype and promise that was associated with him in his early days. However, most fans forget that football is a team game, and when a good player does not perform good, sometimes the system in which he plays can also be the reason. Barcelona does not play like Manchester United. Instead of defending all the time, they look to suffocate opposition in their own half. The team has multiple creating options in midfield and even from the defense. In this team, the pairing of Lamine and Rashford works because their contrasts lock into place. Yamal controls the momentum of attack, he slows defenders with feints and operates like a jazz soloist while improvising in confined spaces. Rashford can act exactly opposite. He's like the reverse valve, the breakaway runner, and the one who would go vertical while Yamal stretches the field. This is the same way Yamal and Rafinha scored so many goals last season when Balde was fit and Rafinha was playing on the flank. Now, if Rashford adapts to his role, they can open another attacking outlet in the central spaces as a false nine or attacking midfield. How Hansi Flick would manage this flabbergasting attack would be the main question. To answer that, let's get straight to the tactical board of Hans-Dieter Flick. The way Hansi has redesigned Barcelona in just 1 year is nothing short of remarkable. It is true that Blaugrana has a seriously talented side, with young and hungry players who can go to war for the badge they wear. But beneath this love and passion for the badge also lies the tactical brutality. What he's building is not just fluid, it's surgical, especially when Rashford and Yamal are involved. Forget the traditional 4-3-3 structure of modern football. Flick's real formation exists in motion. In possession, Barcelona builds in a 2-3-2-3. The fullbacks tuck into midfield, the midfield triangle staggers, and the wide forwards, including Yamal, invert slightly, just enough to overload half spaces, which we talked about earlier. The key to all this movement? It's timing. When Barcelona wins the ball, they don't surge forward instantly. Even in counterattacks, they look for Pedri, De Jong, or Casado in the midfield. Then, with the help of the genius of this midfield, they unlock the whole team with a world-class pass. Now, imagine when a runner like Rashford gets on the left side, Rafinha or Lewandowski in the middle, and Yamal on the right running to bury the game. The result? The opposite defense is forced to split. Either they double Yamal and leave Rashford's lane open, or collapse on Rashford and give Yamal 1v1. Pick your poison and deal with it. Even if you're lucky to stop one, the other one will destroy you. Then there's the option for a rotation trap. At 60 minutes, when the fullbacks are tired and midfielders lose their shape, Flick will have the option to rotate Rashford to the right and Yamal to the centre. Rafinha can go wide on the left. If they have Lewandowski or Ferran Torres in the front, this is chaos. Defenders, used to the usual patterns, are now marking shadows. Every attacking sequence has a rule. At least one player must run behind the ball. Rashford has a great run. Rafinha, Lewandowski, all can burst and kill the game in seconds. This is not modern football, it's modular football. No two attacks look the same, but they all lead to danger. This is also the beauty of FC Barcelona. They have so many options to attack that managers would have headaches trying to stop them in the coming season. This also leads us to the common question of the two fiercest football fan bases in the world. Is the front line of Barca now scarier than Madrid's Golden Galacticos? Barcelona and Real Madrid always compete with each other to have the best players in the world, and so do their fan bases, to justify whose star is bigger and more impactful. It used to be a debate about styles, Barcelona's romantic elegance versus Madrid's ruthlessness. Now it's about names, superstar duos, commercial gravity, Vinicius and Mbappe, the new Galacticos, dripping with goals, swagger, and Champions League pedigree. However, here's the uncomfortable truth for Madridistas: Rashford and Yamal might not be as famous, but they might be more dangerous. Why? Because their threat isn't built on highlight reels, it's built on instability. While Vinicius and Mbappe dominate in straight lines and individual brilliance, Rashford and Yamal bend the pitch around them. Their patterns are not predictable, which we have explained in previous sections. Their chemistry is not rehearsed, but thrives on instinctive destruction. Ask any coach about it, and he'll tell you which is harder to plan for. Let's break it down further. Yamal doesn't just dribble, he shakes the structures. When he draws two defenders wide, he creates a gravitational vacuum in the left half space, exactly where Rashford operates best. That unspoken connection is something that Real Madrid duo, for all their brilliance, still don't have. On the other side, Rashford does not only run, he disturbs, and his movement forces decisions. If he's followed, you risk him opening a passing lane to Pedri, or let him run and you risk a ball over the top. The moment you hesitate, Barcelona strikes. Here's the most unsettling part for Madrid. Flick has systemized this destruction. He's created sequences that pull markers off Yamal just long enough for Rashford to slice in behind. However, what really sets them apart is how little they need the ball. Mbappe and Vinicius also have this ability, but they clearly lacked chemistry last season. Either one of them receives the ball and spends too much time on it, which reduces their chances. Barcelona's front trio was completely opposite. You can control them for 70 minutes and still leave with a 2-0 or 4-1 defeat. At the end of the day, stats and analysis on paper are still stats and analysis on paper. The one who performs on the day takes the title of the best, but on paper, analysis clearly tells us who has the bigger probability. The results of these probabilities was also evident in the last season when Barca destroyed Madrid in 4 straight Clásicos. Now it's no longer about conquering Spain and Madrid again. They're chasing European glory, where they've had the most heartbreaks in the recent past. Barcelona has already reclaimed its domestic throne, but in Spain, domination isn't legacy anymore. It's the mere maintenance of your stature. The real prize lies elsewhere. It's silver engraved and bathed in Champions League lights. Last season, Catalans were thumping every team they met, but a little lack of concentration and bad luck in the last moments against Inter shattered their dreams. This season, the team is again all set to repeat the beautiful football they showed us last year. On paper, their numbers also suggest this. After the recovery of injured players and the new arrival, their XG per 90 minutes has increased from last year, which was already the highest in the top 5 leagues of Europe. They also performed this XG last season by securing more goals than any other team in Europe. However, numbers only tell one side of the story. Europe is about adversity, weathering storms, outthinking pressure, surviving bad halves, and seizing thin margins. Does this Barcelona still have cracks? The defense is brilliant when first choices take the pitch. Kubasi, Inigo Martinez, Balde, and Koundé are all considered best in the world at their positions, but their replacements are fragile. Eric Garcia and Christensen did a fabulous job in rotation. However, Ronald Araujo and Gerard Martin face criticism from fans because they can't perform as good as the first choices, especially in the high-pressure games. They also don't align very well with Flick's high defensive line of offside traps. That's the biggest concern in a long season these days. When you are alive in all competitions after February, the games come after every 3 to 4 days, and fragile defenses can lose you everything. The names in attack and their performances last year threw fear in every opponent. But to win campaigns, you need balance. Can Lewandowski hit a 40-goal season again? More than that, can he play a full season again, without injury in the highlight of his career? Barca suffered against Inter last season because Lewandowski was injured. How would Flick find balance with Rashford in the squad, whom he wanted as the specialist winger? How would Flick use the plethora of talent in the midfield? Gavi, Fermin, Bernal, and Olmo are all super effective, and they love to play for the badge. To be honest, they all deserve the spot in the first team, but Pedri and Frenkie de Jong are on a whole other level. So, how Hansi Flick will manage them also matters. It is truly amazing that Barca has retained all these players, and if they don't win the European stage again, it would be perhaps the biggest disappointment of modern football. This season, it won't be judged by goals or even league points. It'll be judged in April and May when the pitch gets slower, the space gets tighter, and the world tunes in. That's when we'll find out if Barcelona's new weapon is just exciting or historic.